Number one, how do we know whether it's greater than, less than, or equal to? How do we know?
Because 5 is half the same, so it's
All right. Number two, what was your product? What was your product, number two? Jonathan?
55,000.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
55,129.
Did you have a decimal point in there? You said and, did you have a decimal point in there?
No.
Can you read it without the decimal point then, please?
55,129.
Yep, you did, but we're not going to attack on that. Try it again.
55,129.
There you go, thank you. And number three, we come up full of 5 and 15. Audra, 3 is not 3, that would be factor that you're thinking of. 15. Number 4, how many edges does that solid have? How many edges does it have? It has more than 6 edges. Lane? 8. It has more than 8 edges. More than 8.
10.
It has more than 10 edges. It has 12. It has 12, does it not? Okay. Watch up here for the edges.
Oh, I think I did.
All right, for the edges. The edges are where the faces come together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it complete yet? Maybe 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. All right. Okay. What's the volume? You would start with volume equals length times width times height. We did one of these yesterday. What is the length of this one? What's its length? 6. What is its width? Its width?
3.
3 feet. And its height is 2 feet. What then is the volume of this particular rectangular prism?
11.
It's multiplication. Multiplication. Oh, 6 times 3 times 2.
36.
36. And they are cubic units, and it's cubic feet this time. Cubic feet. Number 7. What is the sum? The sum. Yes, 19 and 528,000. Number 7. What is the difference? The difference. Tyler.
2/5.
How many?
2/5.
2/5, yes. Number 8. How do we find the value of x? How do we find the value of x? Diana. All right. Number 9. They gave you the formula. Area equals half the base times the height. What did you get for the area? Peyton. 9 square feet. Number 10. The ratio of the number of school days in a week to the number of days in a weekend. It is not 7 to 2. It is 5 to 2. School days. There are 5 school days. And there are 2 weekend days. Please get that recorded and put away. Are there any questions? All righty. Everybody's folder I missed? All right. The worksheet today. You shut the lights down. That help? What? Okay. Kaylin? Well, I will in just a minute. I'm giving everybody a chance to do the first ones. You may have what? You may have questions on 1 or 2. One or two. Any questions? Three or four? 5 or 6? Anybody? Anything? Okay. Take a look at our books then. Ellen, lights, please. Thank you. On 419, many shaded parts?
More.
1 out of how many total parts? 4, making it what is a fraction? Okay. Number 2, how many shaded parts? Total parts? Fraction? Number 3, how many square units? Number 4? Number 5? Any questions on those? Okay. Number 6, you can multiply like by 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4, 5 over 5. It doesn't matter what you multiply by, because whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. So there could be a variety of answers here, okay, depending on what you multiply by. All right? Does that make sense? Same with number 7. One thing you could have done here, though, is divide by 3 over 3, which would have given you 3/5, because that's an equivalent fraction. But you could have multiplied by 2 over 2, 3 over 3, any of those kinds of things. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 8, you could have divided by 2 over 2. You could have divided by 4 over 4. You could have multiplied by 2 over 2. Any of those choices. Does that make sense? And number 5, you could have multiplied by 2 over 2, 3 over 3, so on. So equivalent fractions, fractions that are equal to them, you do the same thing to the numerator and denominator. Yes?
So like for number 6, we could do 3 times 2 and 4 times 2 to get like 6 eighths.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. If you did math in the real world, and I was hoping you did, but if you didn't, I wasn't totally worried about it. You would have gotten 6 2/5 pounds. 6 2/5 pounds. And page 420. The first one would have been indicating the numerator. The second one, the denominator. The third one, those are examples of mixed numbers. And the fourth one, they're examples of equivalent fractions. Okay? And then, Evan, why don't you shut the door? That's distracting. I can hear it from here. And for the vocabulary, number 1 was mixed number. Number 2 was simplest form. Number 3 was denominator. 4 was product. 5 was equivalent fractions. And 6 was numerator. All right. My hope was that 419 and 420 were relatively easy for you based on things we've already done this year and things you've done in the past. So that was my hope for those 2 pages. Okay? My hope was also that the fraction worksheet, those 6 problems went fairly easily for you and you were able to be successful on those as well, because we have worked relatively hard on those. Okay? All right. Let's get our Chromebooks opened up and going to Braining Camp. And this time, I want to use the 2-color counter. I think that'll work for what we're doing today. I think that'll work. 20 counters on your board and make them red, please.
Oh, you can also,
Raining camp? I did.
once you drag them, you can just tap.
I did.
Oh,
But I wouldn't put my last one on there. 20? 20 of them. Raining camp, let's go.
does it matter how many plays?
Is there a charger over here? Anybody have a charger?
I found only a straight line.
All right, we have 20 chips up there, and when you just randomly put them up there like that, you have to keep counting, recounting, counting and recounting. Instead, if you put them in groups, it helps be able to see how many are there easily, right? Okay? No, when you just keep hitting that little button there and trying to get 20 up there, it just lines them up, and
I got
there's
20.
no real order to it.
I got 20.
So, okay, Dante, that's all I ask you to do. Let's get 20 up there. Now, excuse me. What we want to do is we want 4/5 of the 20. We want 4/5 of the 20. So in wanting 4/5 of the 20, our denominator tells us what? Tells us what? What does our denominator tell us? Mallory?
How many counters are going to be in each group?
Does it tell us how many counters are going to be in each group? Or does it tell us how many groups there are? Tells us how many groups there are, yeah. Tells us how many groups there are. So that's how many groups we want. Okay? So let's arrange them into 5 groups now. Okay? All right? Yeah.
So you can make like little boxes, like
What? But I want you to drag them into 5 groups. That's what I want you to do. Decide how many you need in each one to get them into 5 groups. How many you think you should have, play around with it. You want 5 groups, so you may have to reorganize. You want 5 groups. So if you look at what I did I have 5 groups? No, I had how many groups? 4 groups. So what do I still need to do?
you can, so what you can do is you need to add one more group, but by doing that, you can go down, putting 5 groups down, and then go over. And
I need to peel one off, don't I?
You need to peel one off for a group.
And now I have my 5 equal groups, don't I? Okay. All right. So my 5 equal groups, and I want 4/5 of my groups. I want 4/5 of my groups. And if I want 4/5 of them, then this tells me what? What does my numerator tell me? What does my numerator tell me? Does it tell me how many are in each group? Does it tell me how many are in each group?
Yeah, it tells you how many goes in each group because since we have 20, there will be 4 in all 5. There will be 4 in all 5 groups.
Is that true? Is that going to be true every time? No, it just so happened this time it is, but is that true what the numerator tells us? How many's in each group? No. What does the numerator tell us each time? This tells us the total number of groups we need. What does the 4 tell us?
How many need to be in each group?
No. This is the total groups. Total groups. I want 5 groups. What does the 4 tell us? Yeah, this tells us how many groups we want. This is the part of the groups. I want 4 parts of the group. Does that make sense? I want 4 parts of the group. It doesn't tell me how many are in each group. It just so happened it did in this case. But it's not going to hold true for all of them. All right? So I've got my 5 groups. All right? I know that there are 4 in each group, but this is group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? I want how many of those groups? I want 4 of those groups, right? So I want these 4 to be 4/5 of my 20. Does that make sense? So if I want 4/5 of 20, how many do I collectively have? 16. I have a total of 16. So 4/5 of 20 is 16. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's clear that off. Okay. This time I want 15. 15. I want to show 2/3 of 15. How many equal groups do I need? How many equal groups do I need? I need 3 equal groups. I need 3 equal groups. How many of those groups do I need? How many of those groups do I need? Peyton, 2 of them. I need 2 of those groups. 2/3 of 15 then is 10.
I'm doing something like that, but I'm putting like 3 rows down and putting them all like that.
It doesn't matter if they're vertical or horizontal. Doesn't matter. What matters is you have 3 equal groups. Okay? This makes sense. Let's do 6. I want 1/3 of 6. Show me on your board what you think 1/3 of 6 would look like. 1/3 of 6. What do you think that would look like? All right, I saw a variety of things going on. Certainly not bad. One thing I wanted, and I think I mentioned this to anybody that was doing it, separate out your thirds so that I can see that you know what thirds are, okay? And then you need to circle what 1/3 is, right? Somehow indicate that, change the color of it, whatever. Make them different somehow. And then you tell me that your answer is 2, okay? All right, does that make sense? But
I also just figured out that you can also put them on top of each other.
Okay, does that make sense? All right. So, show me a picture that would show 2/3 of 9. Show me a picture that would show 2/3 of 9. 2/3 of 9. 2/3 of 9. Don't forget to tell me what it's equal to. Don't just circle it, tell me what it's equal to. Don't leave me to figure out what your answer is.
Mhm.
All right, so a lot of really good pictures, good. Show me 2/5 of 10. 2/5 of 10. All right, seeing good pictures here. you should have gotten 4 for that one. All right. I think I saw everybody.
So I figured out that you can also bring out this like a circle. It tells you how many you put on here, and you can bring out the boxes.
All right, now, my question is, and I don't have your Chromebooks, can you do screenshots of your pictures and put them on a document? So, okay, listen to me. This is the question. Listen to the whole question. If your assignment is on a document, okay? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And you would number it, number 1, number 2, and so on. If you do a screenshot of the problem, right? Could you paste it on the document as your problem? So instead of having to draw all of this by hand, you could do it on that Braining Camp and then put it on the document for your assignment. Am I correct? You could do that. Yes? Yes? Okay. So, for this one, what it would look like, let me erase this business. Okay. For this one, what it would look like then would be it would look like something like this. Okay? You might have done something like that, and then circled these 2, and you would have done this. And say this is number 3 or whatever. All right? Okay? That might have been what you did to show me your proof of that problem, right? You would have taken a screenshot of that whole thing, and then on that document page, you would have put that with number 3. Does that make sense? You could do that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
As opposed to hand drawing all these pictures. Yes? Okay. Eduardo, what's your question? You don't know how to do a screenshot. You don't know how to show 2/5 of 10. So you don't understand how to do 2/5 of 10 is what you're telling me. Then what don't you understand? Tell me what you don't understand, because I got to help you. This is a picture showing me 2/5 of 10. And then you're going to do a screenshot of that, and you're going to paste it on the document for your assignment. Is that what you're confused on? My wording on that? Okay. All right. A Word document, a Google Doc. What word do I need to use? Google Doc. Google Doc. Does that help you? Okay. All right. So are we clear on that? So instead of doing it by hand, you're going to use these tools that we just practiced with instead of doing it by hand, right? All right. So are we clear on how to do it? Yes. All right. So there is the lesson then. Let's turn to page 425. Okay, on 425, you're doing it all. And if you look at number 9, it says to explain it. So if you're using a Google document, you can type your answer in, right, with an explanation in sentence form. And it says, using a model, you're to include a drawing. Drawing, tag your explanation, yes? Okay?
You need draw if you want to. You want to do like Google Docs.
What?
You need draw instead of doing, copy and paste on the tablet.
I would like for you to do this because I want you to use your technology.
Yeah.
Okay? I want us to step it up a notch. Okay? Because we have this available to us, I want us to use it. All right? Does that make sense? Okay? And I want us to try it because I think this is a real helpful tool that I want us to be able to use on a daily basis. Because here's the other reason. When you guys go take those I Ready, I Learn, whatever format they call it, they're going to ask you to manipulate things, perhaps. If we practice manipulating things, it will be second nature to us. Does that make sense? You won't get paper and pencil. So I'm trying to also provide some things, now that we've got them, that if you practice with it, it'll be easier for you. Not just on these standardized things that were handed, you know, at the end of the year or whatever, and you go, oh my gosh, I've never practiced this. Does that make sense? It'd be like, we practice riding a tricycle, and then we're given a bicycle for the actual test. Hello, there's a big difference there, you know? Okay? Or we practice driving a lawnmower, and then we get in a car to do the test, you know? Ooh, there's a big difference there. Okay? So I'm trying to get you to use some tools that will be helpful on down the line here as well, okay? All right? Do you think you're okay with this tool?
Yeah.
Okay?
One of it says notification didn't say, does that mean?
Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Hold on a minute. All right. So, I used the word of, did I not?
Yeah.
They used a multiplication sign. Of means to multiply.
Oh, yay, I'm so smart.
Of means to multiply. So, in each of these, 7/8 times 16. 7/8 of 16. That's that little switch over. Okay? All right? Yes. What? I can't hear you, Ezra. Ezra, that was the question he asked. I want you to use this tool. Okay? We're up in the ante a little bit using these tools that we have, okay? All right? Do a screenshot, put it on a Google Doc. Okay? All right? Now, that means for 7 and 8, same thing. Okay? 3/4 of them. Look at number 7. 3/4 of them. Them is the 20 pictures. Does that make sense? Okay. When we look on page 426, number 1 and number 2, guess what?
Oh.
You use the same thing, right? Okay? Now, because they have already drawn the picture out for you, you do not have to use that. You may use the pictures they've already drawn for you. Does that make sense? Okay? But it's the same concept as this. But because the pictures are already there, you may use those pictures. Okay? Does that make sense? And we'll make you duplicate something. But on page 425, I want you using the Brainy Camp. Okay? And use a Google Doc. Okay? Yes, Ezra. All on page 425, all on page 426. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, if you don't know how to do screenshots and get them on Google Docs, you better be speaking up real quick in here because you're going to need a teammate in here to help you do it. So everybody get number 2 done right now. Screenshot and over to Google Docs right now. Because if you can't do it, we need to get that problem fixed now.